Really appreciate everyone coming out, spending your evening talking about the climate crisis. It's not as dark as it has to be. Without further ado, we're going to start off our talks with Queen Quet of the Gullah Geechee Nation.
People. What were there down here on this your coastline? On Jacksonville, North Kakalaki. On Jacksonville, Florida. Where we are there on this your shoreline. The water to bring we. Now the water quite take we back. Because now we would have been to the creek jointing in the evening. Oh, and somebody would have yelled at you and say, God, why trouble the water? And I said no more. Because in the God, what the trouble is you. You know them people that act like they can't get it with. Until I'm saying, you're not build there. Because they ain't going to stand. And I build so. Even if I ask you things like that, they ain't no land. Or they can't get it with. You know, you crack with teeth like this shit. You don't care what you do. It's like, you trap like your mind. They can't get it door. They go down there, and it's your thing back in a bubble. And I crack your teeth out this your boy. We're living physically. And so if we come out, it going dead. No, we there, yo. Have a cap over around. But we had, so we know, we sickly. Because all these other rest of people are coming up, and yet we, but this your land, what they in the sea. Look like they want to shrink them down for what? But you think that way you can't now bun all. But you think that for the rest of people just for come here and burn themselves in the sun. And now the sun the burn we. This is a thing called a next island. That like we had any need for eat. And I go on across the bridge on them. I say, cause something ain't going right tall. And no son these children from over there must be cranky. And I act like they can't catch on yet. Maybe if I go on yonder, the further I get over there, and I start to sound more like they do, as we cross the bridges that keep bringing them in here. Maybe they'll hear me then. Maybe they'll overstand if I speak in the way that they do. But no, you can speak in words. You can speak in numbers. You can make reports. You can make graphs. And they still can't hear. They can't see. And then they wonder about where the world is on this journey. And they act like Mother Earth caused this on herself, when actually It's the humans who mama didn't raise them right that's causing the problem for everybody else. And so here it is now. Wow. It was a year ago this time. I was sitting there praying along the shore when all of a sudden everything changed. And here in came the rain. And here in came the change that brought in the things that we were saying them would happen if they didn't yeti weed. That all this pavement and this asphalt doesn't absorb water. That it needs to be natural like you found it when you played Christopher Columbus and you found us, who are the Gullah Geechee, here on these islands in the sea, from Jacksonville, North Carolina, to Jacksonville, Florida. Here it is. We've been here from the 1500s. But yet when we say you shouldn't place that building there because that's marsh. You shouldn't place that building there because that's the coastline of the ocean. There's a thing here called a tide. It comes in, it comes out. It doesn't just bring in water. It takes sand out when it goes. And, excuse me, I only studied a little thing called engineering, so I think I could calculate how long it's going to take before that little piazza you just built is going to end up in the ocean. Why invest in the water in that way? Why not invest in keeping the water healthy for all of us to drink for another day? Why not keep it healthy and sustained so that the other thing people love to come here to get in Charleston is some of our good old perlo rice and some of that crab and things like that and that shrimp. Oh my God, and have that with some sweet tea. But yet, the ones who caught that, harvested it from the waters, brought it in, made that perlo rice, made that red rice. We were there in the water up to our knees, but we then had the trunks that we could let the water out. You can't do that here. But you don't think that we know about the flow of water? Wow. So another day, it changed again. We couldn't even go out and harvest from the land simply because it rained. But guess what? The crops were still sustained because that water came down naturally. It had a place to go back into the ground, you see, unlike the paving that you call creating a city. They don't want to make a city. They want to plant grass after they cut down every tree that was there. And again, they think that's going to last. Then they go back and they pay these folks to come back and plant the trees equally distant apart. And they think they've done it all. What's that thing the Gullah Geechees have? Oh, the sweet grass. Yes. Oh, the road will look like a piece of art. Let's line it up along the driveway too. Not thinking about where will the water go after you pave it and you think your destructionment is through. But it's not. Because again, this individualism has come in to the souls of too many across the globe, where their concern is no longer about listening. They can't hear if you speak. You can use sign language and they can't see. But I hope this evening, Hana will yeti me. Because this is threatened all of our survival. Because if it threatens farmland, it threatens food security. So if it's raining too hard, the seeds sometimes don't even have a chance to gestate. So then how good will it be to come here to this region and not get a good old Gullah Geechee plate? Because we have nothing to feed you because of all of the other things you want to do. You swear you must have a bike path, so you got to pave it so you can ride on it. That's funny. We rode on dirt roads. Then they say, well, You know, we have to sustain the economy. I guarantee you it was sustained before you got here. That's what brought you, isn't it? According to our vantage point and what we see. The problem was, you thought this place was beautiful. You thought it was pristine when you came to vacation. Well, why can't you grasp that it has to remain that way? So you can't build over and pave over everything in the Gullah Geechee Nation. Because then what happens? The summers that were already the Sea Island heat of 90 plus degrees that I grew up with now are registering at 110, and they tell us there's a new island in town. It's called Heat Island effect, which now has us wondering, me? And everyone wondering this past summer, do I have COVID? Am I having a heat stroke? What is happening to me? And yet, people walk right by the others doing that. It's like they can't see. So here it is, that we stand in a place, in a space that is literally on the front shoreline of a change that we don't need. The climate change that the scientists talk about every day, and calculate emissions and sequestration and all of that. And I say to them, no, all I need you to do is follow me back to the Gullah Geechee Nation, where we lived in a way that was in balance with Mother Earth. Because guess what? Our mamas and Big Daddy mamas always told us what? You listen to your mama. And last year, I thought when Mother Earth told the world to sit down and study on herself, stay in your room, I prayed and I thanked God. I said, hallelujah, you done took care of these children. Maybe things will go back like they were in the beginning, where I could go to my nice shoreline and just go out and enjoy it instead of seeing this. Maybe it would go back again. Maybe I could just sit, enjoy, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Cool Sea Island breeze with that beautiful salinity in the air, that nice smell that we know we're home because there's that smell of that pluff mud, and we know then we look in the distance and we can see the grasses that are growing, and we can see the cut of them, the gwine across the road. We can see the Shakira climb down. We ain't going about his business, because who else climbed down there? A shark did it too. A fool shrimp jump up and think out the way, because they ain't want to get a nap on you today, and things like that. And we can go on and say, oh, let we follow them, and we got told, yeah, we going this your way. That way we going to go. They go fishing hole and cast and still drawing enough. So tomorrow morning, we cast on that yellow grits and shrimp with gravy. And I for going way out joining in the deep. But that don't want this way. We going to have this year. We have to do this your thing. All this your marsh we have to keep. So we can't keep all our marsh if you keep building houses into the shoreline. And if we don't keep our marsh, or as some of y'all might call it, Spartina, grass, or Spartina, depending on who you are and how you articulate this thing. And we don't keep our bulrush. We don't keep this. We don't keep the maritime forests. We don't keep the oyster beds. I know y'all love to have your oysters on the half shell to prove you've arrived somewhere, but where have you arrived? Where have you arrived? Except to a point in time that has us all speaking, and speaking loudly, but acting like we can't hear. How much louder does Mother Earth have to speak to tell you, stop being so individualistic and to share? And if you share, you care. And you would realize that you can't take everything with you. And you can't take it today. You need to leave something for another generation that's on the way. So when we go out, we go casting with a net, and we come out with a bucket, maybe a bushel, to just feed the family in the compound. We don't go what we learned about derby fishing and taking all of what's under the ocean, even the ground. That's not what we do. And we could teach this balance to you if, the indigenous people of the land who've lived in balance, who've known the cycles of the moon before the European folks decided to publish what they called the almanac. We already knew cosmology, and we also knew how to study astrology. Again, whichever term fits for you, it can work for me, as long as we realize that the cycles we are in now have now changed this coastline to not having 4 seasons, but 5. Hurricane season is still, right now, alive. I'm yet praying we make it through another year without another storm coming for Mother Earth to scream loudly again. Why don't you listen, John? Sit down, go to your room. I won't have to tell on again. So, maybe we could all become that energy that, just like the ocean, all those drops that connect together and become that one body that goes all around the earth, that is that body, that feeds one another, that is that body, that heals one another, that is that body, that is that sacred space, that is that body from which we can just get a taste of that power, of that energy that has moved engines across the world, you see. Before all this thing that you called modernity, that now has Mama saying, go back to old landmark. Yeti we. Because the view is now stark about whether the food will last, whether the shoreline will remain. And I still say to people, we the binya, and we ain't going nowhere. Never no more gain. So on behalf of the Gullah Geechee Nation, I say to all of you, hi y'all, but we need you to change your behavior too. We need you to come with us. Sit along the shoreline. We can show you how to live without building there, without needing grass with little holes and white balls in them, because we ain't eating none of those, you see. And so that we can have a harvest now and for the future generations that we may not get to see. But even when you hear me say Yeti me, you hear my ancestors' voices too. So also within us, in our wombs, in our souls, in our DNA, we are hearing the next generation speaking to you. Yeti we, Yeti we, Yeti we. This is a surge that we want you all to be. Heal the land, family. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water, and we gwine heal the water. Peace, blessings, love, and healing.
Here for Queen Quet.